Jasmine Crockett just dropped a political bombshell. She revealed secret documents proving that Donald Trump stole not thousands, not millions, but billions of dollars through hidden accounts and backroom deals. The evidence, she declared, was undeniable. Signed papers, coded transactions, names, dates, all laid out for the world to see. Within seconds of her announcement, the air in the chamber shifted. This wasn't just another heated debate. This was the unveiling of what could become the biggest financial scandal in modern American history. Millions of viewers, glued to their screens, heard the words that no spin team could soften. Donald Trump stole billions from the very people he promised to protect. The crowd gasped, some erupting in disbelief, others clapping wildly. The moderators froze, unsure whether to move on or stop the broadcast entirely. And yet, the cameras kept rolling, broadcasting every detail to the nation. Crockett, standing tall, held up the stack of documents for the cameras, her expression unflinching. She wasn't just speaking, she was presenting evidence. "These pages," she said, her voice cutting through the stunned silence, "are not rumors. They are records. They show the truth that has been hidden from the American people for far too long." Trump, sitting just a few feet away, shifted in his chair, his jaw tightening, his eyes darting around the stage. His signature bravado faltered, and for once, he didn't have a quick insult ready. Instead, he muttered into his microphone, "This is fake, total fake." But the tremor in his voice betrayed him. The audience wasn't convinced. The moment was captured instantly. Screenshots, video clips, and hashtags flooded social media. #, Trump documents, #, Crockett exposes, #, billion-dollar scandal. In the span of 10 seconds, the narrative had changed forever. This wasn't politics as usual. It was revelation, confrontation, and the beginning of a battle that would dominate headlines and shake the very core of the nation's faith in its leaders. The fallout was immediate. Within minutes of Jasmine Crockett's bombshell, every major news outlet cut into their regular programming to broadcast the clip. CNN rolled the footage on repeat with the caption, "Crockett exposes Trump billion scandal." MSNBC hosts leaned into the story, calling it the revelation of the decade. Even Fox News, usually protective of Trump, couldn't ignore the wave, though they scrambled to frame it as an unverified stunt. The split-screen broadcasts, Trump shifting uncomfortably in his chair while Crockett held up the damning papers, became the defining image of the night. Social media detonated. Hashtags like #Trump documents and billion-dollar theft trended at #1 worldwide. Millions of users dissected screenshots, zooming into the highlighted lines of the documents, circling numbers, annotating signatures. TikTok creators churned out videos in real time, dramatizing Crockett's reveal, with captions like "She brought the receipts." Twitter threads pieced together timelines of Trump's business dealings, matching them with the new leaks. In living rooms across America, people whispered to each other the same sentence: "If this is true, it's over." Meanwhile, Trump's allies scrambled. His spokespeople rushed to cable networks repeating the same line: "Fake news, forged documents, political smear." Yet the conviction wasn't there. Clips of Trump muttering "total fake" into the microphone, his hand trembling slightly, went viral, drawing millions of mocking comments. Even longtime supporters admitted the moment didn't look strong. Crockett, however, stood unbothered. As the debate resumed, she didn't back down. "You can scream fake all you want," she told the moderators, "but the truth doesn't disappear just because you deny it. These documents exist. The money is gone. And the American people deserve answers." The room erupted in applause, the kind of applause that carries not just approval, but a sense of history being made. By the end of the broadcast, one thing was clear. This wasn't a passing headline. It was a storm, and it had only just begun. Jasmine Crockett didn't stop at waving the documents in the air. She opened the first folder, placed it squarely on the podium, and began reading aloud. Line 47. Wire transfer of $1.2 billion routed through a shell company registered in Cyprus. Line 103. Offshore account in the Cayman Islands under the name of a Trump Organization affiliate. Line 215. Coded correspondence confirming the diversion of federal funds into private ventures. Each word sent ripples through the audience, each number hitting like a hammer against the already fragile facade of Trump's denials. The camera zoomed in, capturing highlighted pages, the bold red circles Crockett had drawn around transaction dates. "This isn't speculation," she declared. "This is theft. Theft from taxpayers, theft from public programs, theft from the American people, and every line in these documents connects back to one name: Donald J. Trump." The audience gasped audibly. Even the moderators looked shaken, one of them glancing nervously toward Trump, who sat frozen in his chair. His lips pressed tight, his face reddening as Crockett laid out detail after detail. "Do you want to know where those billions went?" she asked, raising her eyes to the crowd. "Luxury resorts, private jets, undisclosed properties under fake corporate names. While Americans struggled, while communities collapsed, Donald Trump was building an empire of greed." Social media lit up again, this time with screenshots of the documents Crockett projected onto the debate hall screen. Accounts dissected every transfer, every code word, every signature. Hashtags like Trump Money Trail and billion-dollar theft surged into the top trends. Trump finally snapped, shouting into his microphone, "This is a hoax, fabricated garbage." But Crockett shot back instantly. "If it's fake, then release your financials. Show the American people your accounts. Open your books. But you won't, because you know what we'll find. Exactly what's right here." The crowd erupted in cheers, the tension breaking into thunderous applause. It was no longer a debate. It was an indictment, live on national television, and the man in the spotlight had no escape. The weight of the documents had cornered Donald Trump, and his usual defense, laughter, denial, bravado, wasn't working. His face red, sweat beading along his hairline, he suddenly lurched forward and pointed across the stage at Jasmine Crockett. "You are a disgrace," he bellowed, his voice breaking into a shrill anger. "You think you can stand there and smear me with fake papers? You're nothing but a puppet, a clown for the radical left. You've never built anything. You've never led anything. You just scream and cry like a child." The insult rang across the hall, but instead of applause, the room grew colder. Gasps echoed, then murmurs of disapproval. The audience wasn't shocked by Crockett anymore. They were shocked by Trump. His tirade felt unhinged, desperate, a man not in control but unraveling in front of millions. Jasmine didn't blink. She let his words hang in the air, then leaned into her microphone with icy calm. "A child?" she said softly. "No, Mr. Trump. What you're watching is accountability, and the only one throwing a tantrum on this stage is you." The audience erupted, cheers drowning out Trump's sputtering protests. She lifted the documents again, fanning the stack in her hands. "You can call me every name in the book. It doesn't change the numbers on these pages. It doesn't erase the wire transfers, the signatures, the coded messages. You can scream fake until you lose your voice, but the truth is still staring you in the face. And the American people are staring too." Trump slammed his palm on the podium, muttering about witch hunts and deep state conspiracies. But it only made him look smaller. Crockett pressed the advantage. You want to talk about building? You built nothing but a machine of greed. And tonight, brick by brick, it's collapsing under the weight of truth. The crowd roared. The moderators looked stunned. And Donald Trump, once the master of spectacle, now looked like a man trapped in a spotlight he could not escape. Jasmine Crockett wasn't finished. She laid out more pages on the podium, each one heavier than the last. These documents, she announced, her voice echoing through the hall, don't just show missing billions. They show where the money went. Page 322, an unreported property purchase in Dubai, listed under a shell company traced directly to Trump's inner circle. Page 409, a transfer of $750 million routed through accounts tied to Russian oligarchs. Yes, Russian. And page 511, funds siphoned from federal emergency programs redirected to Trump-owned businesses. Billions stolen, diverted, hidden. This isn't politics. This is grand theft on a national scale. The room erupted in chaos. Gasps, shouts, clapping. It was impossible to tell where outrage ended and disbelief began. The moderators frantically shuffled papers, trying to decide whether to intervene, but the cameras were locked on Crockett. Viewers at home saw her holding the evidence aloft like a torch, illuminating corruption in real time. Trump, visibly shaken, blurted out, "This is nonsense, lies, you're reading fiction." But the desperation in his voice betrayed him. His words weren't cutting, they were crumbling. Clips of his red face, the way his hands shook on the podium, instantly flooded TikTok and Twitter with captions like, "A guilty man caught live." Crockett didn't let him breathe. "You call this fiction? Then why do the signatures match? Why do the account numbers trace back to your own companies? Why do the timelines line up exactly with the months you screamed about protecting America while secretly robbing it blind?" By the time Jasmine Crockett finished laying out the latest damning details, the cracks in Trump's fortress of loyalty were already spreading. For years, his allies had stood by him through scandal after scandal, but this was different. Billion-dollar theft, documented transfers, signatures on paper. It was too heavy, too undeniable. Even in the audience, a handful of former supporters shifted uncomfortably, whispering among themselves as the weight of Crockett's accusations sank in. On live TV, anchors were already speculating. We may be watching the beginning of the end for Donald Trump's political shield. In real time, prominent Republicans tweeted lukewarm statements, distancing themselves without fully condemning him. Phrases like, "If true, these revelations are deeply troubling, and we must ensure transparency." They didn't dare defend him, and that silence spoke volumes. Hashtags like "Gop Splits" and "Abandon Trump" climbed alongside our Crockett exposes. Crockett seized the moment, her tone sharp but steady. "Notice what's happening," she told the audience. "Notice how his friends are silent. Notice how his defenders suddenly have nothing to say. Because they see what we all see. These documents are real, and the theft is undeniable. Billions taken, while Americans were left struggling." Trump, visibly desperate, pounded his fist on the podium. "They're cowards. All of them. They know it's fake, but they're too weak to fight for me." His voice cracked under the pressure, and the audience reacted not with cheers, but with gasps and laughter. The spectacle of the once unshakable man raging at shadows only amplified his defeat. Crockett struck again. "Mr. Trump, you can scream about cowards all night, but the truth is clear. Even those who once stood beside you now know you've crossed a line. And the line you crossed wasn't political, it was criminal. The American people don't need more excuses. They need justice. The hall erupted in cheers, the roar drowning out Trump's sputtering attempts to reply. For the first time, the empire of loyalty he had built for decades seemed to crumble before the eyes of the nation. And Jasmine Crockett was holding the wrecking ball steady. The chamber was alive with thunder, applause, chants, and the unmistakable hum of history being written in real time. Donald Trump slumped slightly at his podium, his trademark bravado stripped away. His face was flushed, his gestures erratic, his voice drowned by the roar of a crowd that had turned against him. The once indomitable figure looked cornered, and the world was watching every second of it unfold. Jasmine Crockett let the noise rise, and then, with a calm authority, raised her hand for silence. The audience obeyed, eager to hear the final strike. "Tonight," she began, her voice strong and unwavering, "we saw the truth. Not spin, not slogans, not the endless circus of denial. We saw documents, we saw numbers. We saw billions stolen from the people of this country. And we saw a man unable to answer for it." Her words hung in the air like a verdict. Trump muttered again about hoaxes and witch hunts. But even his supporters looked down at their phones, their silence heavier than any cheer. Crockett leaned closer to the microphone, her tone sharpening. "You can call it fake. You can scream all you want. But the pages are real. The signatures are real. And the theft is real. What America witnessed tonight was not courage. It was cowardice. What we saw was not strength. It was desperation." The crowd exploded in chants of "Justice! Justice!" Crockett let it wash over her before delivering the final blow. Donald Trump promised to make America great. But the documents prove what he really made was a fortune for himself at our expense. That isn't leadership. That is betrayal. The standing ovation was deafening. Trump lowered his head, unable to mask the defeat. And as the broadcast cut to millions of homes across the nation, Jasmine Crockett left viewers with one final call. If you believe in truth, if you believe in accountability, then don't turn away now. Stay with us, because this fight for America's soul is only beginning. The lights dimmed, the cameras faded, but the echo of her words remained. History had been made on live television, and the name Jasmine Crockett was now etched into it forever.